Hello and welcome back to the Board Hoovian YouTube channel. I know this is a different setup. I just thought I'd do something different. I'm actually in my dining room. I've got the house to myself today, so I thought I'd use this space, try a different setup, got nice lighting, whatever. And I know I promised I would no longer talk about the reality war and just kind of the recent Doctor Who stuff. But there's a few video ideas that I want to go through. I actually filmed one yesterday and I'm not happy with it. That was all about actually the future of the show and where it's heading. And I'm going to try and tidy that up and write some points. And if I think it's actually worth a video and I have something to say about it, then I'll put it out. But I don't know, I just kind of rambled like I did last week. But anyway, this video is very similar to a series of videos I've done before. If you've seen my channel before, I've done videos on the 9th Doctor's era, the 10th Doctor's era, and the 11th Doctor's era. And those were me giving my best episodes of the era and my worst episodes of the era. And those videos, I'm going to be completely honest, are very much based off of Davis's videos, which are very similar. But my idea was I was inspired by them and I wanted to give my own opinions. However, I don't want to do that. I thought instead I might just do one whole big video on their era. So what better easy way to make the content than screen record on my laptop and make a tier list. So if you see here, this is the tier list. I'm probably put myself in the corner here, but yeah. So in the tier list I have peak, solid, okay, meh, and nope. Yeah, to describe it, peak Who, I'm saying that's got to be, for it to be peak Who, it's got to be like 9 or 10. Like proper peak Who. This is an episode which I'm going to come back to consistently. It doesn't have to be Blink level, but you know what I mean? This is a good episode. Solid. Okay, it's a decent episode of Doctor Who. I might come back to it, but, it's still a good episode. Okay. I might forget the episode. I'm saying this is a 6. Like, it's not offensive. It's not awful. But it's just not standing out as much. Meh. Probably a bad episode. I could enjoy it on some days. But not the best. And definitely needs tidying up. And nope. I don't want to rewatch this episode. And it makes me annoyed. You can attribute... Maybe it only needs 4 tiers. But there's 5. So... I think let's get started. Obviously, we're doing Ncuti Gatwa era. I've not included the giggle, just because to me, I just didn't feel like including that. I might do its own video on just the 60th anniversary special, but I might leave that to a later date. But I've got them all here in order. So let's get started with the church on Ruby Road. And for this one, I'm going to put it in meh, because... it's not awful. I really like Ncuti's Doctor in this and his performance and how he interacts with Ruby to begin with when they're, stuck on the ship together with the goblins. The way he's interacting with Ruby, I don't like the singing scene, really, and I don't really like the goblins either. And I just think this episode is too camp for its own good. But... I really like Millie in this. I really like Ncuti in this. They're both doing really well. And I think their performances are the best thing about this story. And I'm not putting it in nope. It's not awful. It doesn't ruin Doctor Who. But it is an episode where I just kind of roll my eyes at it. So that's why it's going there. Next is Space Babies. And oh my word, we are 2 for 2 in meh. I'm sorry, but Space Babies... is the episode which is supposed to draw people in to this new era. Do you know what I mean? It's supposed to be... This was Doctor Who's advert. This episode was supposed to bring new viewers in. Did it do that? God, no. No wonder Series 3 didn't get commissioned, because this is your bid to get fans in, and it didn't. And it's just... there's not much... Everything that's been said about Space Babies is correct. It's... a bit too silly. The CGI on the actual baby speaking is not that great. There maybe should have been more done with this story. But very similarly to Church on Ruby Road, the best parts of this is Ncuti's performance and Millie Gibson's performance. That's it. I think Millie Gibson's reaction to the babies compared to Ruby. I'll talk about the actual characters. Ruby's response to the babies compared to the Doctor's. The way the Doctor's kind of silly around them, but then he has that more touching moment with Poppy. We'll get to her later in another episode, but where he's talking about being the last of the Time Lords. While I don't like that they're repeating that kind of storyline, it's actually quite good in that moment. That's one of the highlights of the episode, but it's still in meh for me. That's where Space Babies belongs. But I have a feeling we're going to start to pick up with some better episodes soon. As next, we have got The Devil's Cord. And The Devil's Cord, I think, is going to go in... Ooh. Okay, solid. I'm going to put it... I'm going to put it in okay for now. Just because you can do, I think so much more could have been done with the concepts by using the Beatles more. I appreciate that they're used to resolve the story. In you see John and Paul reunite and complete the Devil's Cord, or complete the note to Banish Maestro. I conceptually love the idea of this. Is what I think they really should have delved into much more with the idea of these gods, really playing into the rules, like the rules of music and the rules of light with Lux. Those are using the concept and really playing with it, and that's what Doctor Who kind of going beyond its own science works when it does stuff like that. Stuff like, okay, now Sutek's the god of death doesn't really work in the same way. Stuff like showing a baby out of nowhere and saying that's the god of wishes does not work in the same way. But conceptually, this has a lot going for it. Ncuti and Millie are having so much fun in this story. And the kind of rug pull of realising that music's awful when you didn't expect that is also good. I'm putting it in okay just because I think this could have been so much better. And also, the ending musical number isn't that great. But it's a good episode, but it can be so much better. And next, we have got Boom. I am putting this in... it's in between the top two. I'm going to put it in peak. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm putting it in peak Who. I've seen some people say they hate Boom. I love Boom. Conceptually, I love Boom. I think it's executed perfectly. I think Ncuti's performance is fantastic. I think Verada Sethu is great in this. I think it's Verada Sethu's best performance in Doctor Who. Why couldn't we have just had her come back as that character? Yeah, I think it's a fantastic episode. The child actor, she's great in this. I think Ruby's good in this before she gets knocked out. I think the politics of the story are very good and they're woven into the story quite well. I love how loud and proud the Doctor is and how bashing he is with Verada Sethu. And I like how that's also conflicted and the Doctor kind of concedes at the end. You know what, I might have gone a bit too far. But I really like this. And, it's Stephen Moffat. It's just great. When I heard the concept of the story and I knew Stephen Moffat was writing it, I knew I'd love this. And lo and behold, I'm putting it here. I'm not regretting it, I'm putting it in peak. The next story is 73 Yards. Now this one I've had a lot to think about because I was dissatisfied when I first watched this, purely because it doesn't give you any answers and it has no impact on the series arc, and Ruby forgets it, so it's just kind of in its own an episode and it has no lasting impact on the characters, really. Occasionally you hear Ruby go, oh, why do I know this, or why do I remember things? And it's because of 73 Yards, but she doesn't. And now Ruby's gone and we know her arc's complete, and yeah, 73 Yards just happened. And the whole Roger William stuff happens as well. Joel, I'm going to put it in solid. I'm going to put it in solid because I think in the same way of Devil's Cord, I think it's better than Devil's Cord. I think 73 Yards is good. It's a really good episode, but it should have been peak. Like, this could have been a great solo Doctor Who episode. The political side of Roger William, I don't know if it delved more into the horror and if there was just, I don't know. I don't know, because, you know, it was always supposed to be a mystery that was unanswered, and my feeling is I wanted more of an answer, or more of a mystery to it than just there's this woman following her and she can't let people go near her. But do you know what? I think Millie Gibson's fantastic in this story. Really good. The entire supporting cast are. Gemma Redgrave's really good in it, in the brief moment she has. Her look after she hears what the woman says and then looks back at Ruby, that is really good. And the performances are fantastic. The early moments and the music from Maury Gold, I think it's a very good story, but conceptually, it really had a lot going for it, and I just think if it was executed a little bit better and made some different decisions, and maybe didn't have the politics plotline and kept going the direction it was going with that story, I think it could have been Peak Who, and it just misses out because of that. The next episode is Dot and Bubble. I've heard people complain about this, and complain about the politics of it, saying, you know, Dot and Bubble is, you know, making a statement on race and a statement on you don't notice that there's no black people in it, while it's written by a production team and writing team which is completely white. So it's like racism told by people who don't understand it completely. And I accept that criticism. I think that's fair. In the moment, I did quite like this story. I'm going to put it in okay. I don't think it's meh. I'm going to put Dot and Bubble in okay. And yeah, I'm happy with that. I think it's a good story. I think it really relies on Ncuti's performance right at the end, and he bloody delivers. And that was the first scene he filmed, and he absolutely, gives it his all, and it's fantastic. And that really, it relies upon how he sells that, and he sells it perfectly. And yeah, I'm going to put it in okay. Next, I'm going to go with Rogue. Rogue, for me, is solid Doctor Who. That is Doctor Who. When I watched this story, I was just like, this is what I want Doctor Who to be. Because it opens up, Ruby and the Doctor have gone somewhere for fun. They're there for fun. Some alien shenanigans happen. The Doctor gets whisked away. She gets whisked away. They both are involved in it. And, there's a resolution. It's fun, campy Doctor Who. It was great. Loved it. I don't care about the gay plotline between Rogue and the Doctor. It's fine. And if the Doctor's going to have romantic moments, I will always insist it has to be with a character which is not a companion. It should be a character they're introducing, or that is River Song adjacent, in that they are kind of from a similar world to the Doctor. Akin to Rogue, akin to potentially Captain Jack, akin to River Song. And it works. Do they fall in love a little bit quickly? Kind of, I'd guess so. But I really like it. Does it understand what cosplay is and the comments it's making about cosplay? I don't think it does. I really don't think it does. But I think the Children are an interesting villain to bring in. And I think Millie's performance when she's trying to pretend to be Ruby, pretending to be a Childer, pretending to be Ruby, is actually quite good. The way she holds herself, the way her look is very good. I love the moment with Ncuti where he sings Pure Imagination to himself as he walks back into the TARDIS. That's great. That's really good. And you know what? They do sell them liking their like and love for each other in that moment where they're both realizing they both lost people, and they're kind of bonding through that. And I think that's a very good moment. It's one of the few moments that in this episode, in this era, where they do a flashback of the Doctors, and it works as a moment, and it sells as a moment, purely because the Doctor is desperate in that moment. He thinks he's a Childer, and he shows, no, I'm much more than that. Here are all of my faces. I'm a Time Lord. I'm much more than you think I am. And it really is a strong moment. And, and Jonathan Groff's reaction as Rogue sells that moment as well. I think this is a really good story. It's good, solid Doctor Who. Next, we have got The Legend of Ruby Sunday. I'm going to put it in okay. This episode is a trailer for the next episode, and that is what both part ones of series finales have been. They don't have that much substance. It's a lot of exposition. It's a hell of a lot of setup. And it is, here are the things we're probably going to deal with next week. And then a cliffhanger revealing here's an actual bigger part of what's happening next week that we didn't know about. But yeah, I am putting it in okay. Now, Empire of Death. I'm putting it in I'm not putting it in nope. And do you know why I'm not doing that? Because of season 2. This one, do you know what? Do I disagree with the conclusions the story comes to with regards to Ruby's mum? Yeah. Not just the fact that she's normal, but the way it explains her being normal, just she is, because we've brought importance onto her. Okay, why does time change when she points? Her pointing to Ruby Road doesn't name Ruby because they still named Ruby after the road anyway, without seeing her. It's not logical. It doesn't make sense. And we shouldn't just accept that. It's poor storytelling in that moment. But at the same time, the emotion of that scene where she meets her mum is really great. Ruby's performance is great. I don't know who the character of her mum is, but that's a really good performance as well. And yeah, Ruby is Millie Gibson's really good in this episode. Really good. And the kind of hopelessness the Doctor feels when he looks out on the universe being dead is really good. As always, Ncuti and Millie are really doing their best to carry this episode. And I think they do a very good job. And I don't hate it as much as other people. Is it a disappointing conclusion? Yes. Does it do enough with Sutek? No. But the performances from the characters themselves absolutely stretch this episode and get the absolute best. They are juicing everything they can out of this episode to make it the best it can be. And Ncuti and Millie do that. Now, the next episode is Joy to the World. And Joy to the World, I'm going to put in okay. Which for me is where a Christmas special should be. I'm not expecting a Christmas special to be peak Doctor Who. Christmas special, have an interesting idea. Give the Doctor, something to do. Kind of set him on his way for the next season. Have fun, have a good guest star. It's the one complaint I have is that Nicola Coughlan is kind of overshadowed by Anita. I forget the actress name, but Anita is really good in this. I really like Anita, and then Anita obviously comes back in the finale. But I think conceptually, the whole time hotel idea, nice. I did have someone point out that isn't a time hotel technically just like a TARDIS, and I thought about it and went, yeah, I guess it is, but forget that one. I think, it's a fun idea, and the politics of rewriting it back to Partygate does feel a bit forced, I'm gonna be honest. And yeah, it's not done as well. And the mention at the end of it being Bethlehem and her being the star, yeah, not too sure on that either. But I think Ncuti's really good in this. Ncuti has a lot to do in this story. He has so much screen time. But my favourite part of this story is not when he's in the time hotel, not when he's resolving this new star. It's none of that. It's when he's stuck with Anita and they have those moments. That's great, and it's getting the most out of Ncuti. But other than that, yeah, it's just okay. I'm just being honest, it's just okay. And next we are now into season 2 and Robot Revolution. I'm going to put Robot Revolution into solid because, again, I view this was proper Doctor Who. Proper Who. This felt like good Doctor Who and a really just simple story. And I've spoken about this already. You can check my review up here. But I really liked this story for what it did. With the way it introduced a companion. Really, kind of because he had Sasha 55, who was almost looked like he was going to make her a companion, and then she dies. And introducing a companion by seeing what can happen if you get too close to the Doctor was really interesting. If only it kept Belinda the same way she was here. She's so good. You introduce us to a really good character, and then you slowly rewrite her as the series goes on. It's just such a shame. But for me, Robot Revolution is a solid episode. Now, we have Lux. I'm going to put Lux in solid episode again. I think it's a great concept. The idea of having a cartoon character interacting with actual 3D characters is amazing, and this is one of the episodes where I go, do you know what? The Disney money might have been worth it because it lets you do things like this. And that is incredible. I think Alan Cumming is amazing, with his voice, and he really sells the kind of exact pitch you'd expect from like an almost old, 1950s, 60s kind of Disney simple short cartoon character, and because that's pretty much what it's trying to do. And yeah, I really like him. And my one issue with the story is the moment where it breaks the fourth wall. Not because it does break the fourth wall. It's one of the few times where this era breaks the fourth wall and it's earned because of the content of the story. Like, it makes sense. They're stuck in a screen and then they break the fourth wall. I would much prefer it if they climb out of the screen, they're in a room full of Doctor Who fans, and then there's a small exchange in that scene, and then they escape. I'd rather it be that, but then we kind of sit with them, have a cheap discussion about what's your favourite episode? Are we in a TV show? And that stuff. I just think it'd be so much better if it was just left quick, and we were like, oh my god, they were Doctor Who fans, and then it was left to us to kind of discuss it. Because it does kind of pause the episode, and you lose the intensity and the tension that was there, and you always forget where they are. You always forget that, where the story's going, and it pauses it and halts it way too long. But I do think it's a very solid episode, and I like the resolution. It is, someone said, very comparable to the resolution to Tooth and Claw. In Tooth and Claw, they shine the werewolf with moonlight, and the Doctor says, humans, you're 70% water, you can still drown. And then in this episode, I think Ncuti says, you're 80% water and you can still drown. So, wow, humans have way more water than they did in 2006. I don't know, it's a different stat, I don't know the exact, but it's like that. But still, I think it's a good story. The Well, I'm going to put The Well as solid as well. I think The Well is a good episode. I think Midnight is the only thing that holds it back. And I don't know, this isn't confirmed, this is just my opinion, but I think this story was never a Midnight sequel to begin with. I think it was originally just a scary Doctor Who story, which had been written by the co-writer, I forget her name, but she was the first non-RTD writer on this series, and I think she had written The Well, and then RTD had come in and gone, ooh, would it be a marvellous Doctor Who-y, fantastic idea if this was Midnight 2 Electric Boogaloo. Yeah, this would be great. Oh, it's fantastic, it's marvellous. That's my RTD impression, it's awful, but that's definitely what he was thinking. And I was listening to a podcast recently where someone said the only issue with The Well is that it makes you think about Midnight, and that is a far better story. That's the thing. Don't compare yourself to Midnight, because you're going to lose. Midnight is one of the best Doctor Who episodes we will ever get. One of the best written stories ever. It is a 45-minute tight script that does what it can with the limitations it has. It is filmed in one room. It is literally Doctor Who under the tightest budget constraints, and it performs amicably, and it's the tension in that, it's hard to beat it. It's fantastic. And it's so weird that RTD wrote that, because you would so imagine that's some off that script, but it's brilliant and terrifying, and The Well just has to be The Well. It doesn't have to link itself to it, because they act differently in this. They don't exactly act the same, the monster. But Ncuti, the way he sells it and reacts to the fact that it's Midnight, that's the strength of it linking back, because you really feel that fear. And there's one moment where he has a look in his eyes where he's trying to look behind her and see it, and the way he's speaking and the way he looks, it so feels like the way Tennant feels in Midnight. That fear when he gets possessed, it feels exactly the same. Ncuti is phenomenal in this. I also think Verada is great in this as well, and Rosanne Liganis as well, great in this. I think the performances as a whole are solid. The moment where they reveal it's Midnight as well, I kind of knew it was already a Midnight sequel, but the build-up, if you didn't know, is a very good moment. And the fact that at the end it's not resolved, and it kind of leaves you on your edge and goes, oh, it actually probably got out as well. I like that about scary episodes. If you do that, keeps you on your seat, great. Solid episode of Doctor Who. But its predecessor, Midnight, unfortunately, it's peak. Lucky Day. Lucky Day. Now, Lucky Day is trying to make a kind of political statement about like podcast bros and disinformation or misinformation, however you would want to say it. And the thing is, in the context of the series, it's clear. After Lucky Day, I thought he was just like a misinformation podcasty bro, but then it makes him like a proper like fascist podcaster who believes in traditional values and stuff. And you don't actually see much of that in this story, the whole traditionalist things and him, because you see that in his Wish world, and you don't see that here as much. But in this, I like the Shriek. I think Millie Gibson's good in this story. I think her performance is good in this story. I think Gemma Redgrove's quite good in it. The aggression she shows toward Conrad later in the story, I think is very good. The callback to Think Tank, it's an interesting like way of doing a callback to Classic Era, because they are kind of an opposing thing to Unit, questioning Unit, and it works with this story. And do you know what? He has a good performance. Conrad's performance is good. I forget the actor's name, but it's a good performance. It just doesn't work as much because I don't think the writers are quite sure what he's supposed to represent, because he feels like a much bigger message in Wish World than he was previous. But yeah, I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that this story is I'm putting it in okay. I liked it so much more on release, but I've looked more back at it, and unfortunately it falls down for me. Next, I'm going to go Story in the Engine. I do not care what anyone bloody says. I've heard people shit talk about this episode. I really like Story in the Engine. I heard someone say, look, they're just stuck in a room. It's just people stuck in a room monologuing. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I like that. I really like that. And I think Ncuti's great in this. I like the significance of it being Ncuti's Doctor and him being the first, Black Doctor. Obviously, he can't remember being Ruth. And him feeling like this is a safe space and feeling betrayed. And, at the end, him forgiving the barber. But also, obviously, he also forgives the villain as well. And I love the art style when people are telling their stories and it's pictured up. I really think that's great. But yeah, I really like this story. I really do. I think it's a solid episode of Doctor Who. I don't know if you'll notice, but if you look at the peak and solid area of this, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of 7 are written by guest writers. Only one of the guest written episodes is below. Oh, sorry, no, 2. Pete McTeague did Lucky Day. Only 2 of the guest written episodes are below solid, and that's Pete McTeague's Lucky Day and Joy to the World by Stephen Moffat. And we are going to get our first note very soon. We've only got 3 episodes left, and I've been recording for a bloody while. So next, Interstellar Song Contest. I'm putting it straight in nope. I don't know if I want to talk too much about this story, but it really made me question if I want to watch this current era of Doctor Who under this current production team. Because it's clearly going for... Look, I know this is Juno Dawson. This is actually, I think, completely supposed to be written by Juno Dawson. And I was so excited for her to come into Doctor Who, but I really... It makes a political statement and does things with the Doctor's character, which I fundamentally think is dangerous. And, not a good message to make. And when the Doctor has bad actions, it's very good to paint them as that. And for the companions to react. And you've got Belinda, who's reacted negatively to the Doctor in the past and thinks he's dangerous. But in this, she's just a carbon cutout in a different character and does not react in the same way that she should. She should be harsh on the Doctor in that moment. She should be terrified of the Doctor in that moment. You should bring her back to where she was in square one, as if she's been warming to him, and this makes her cold and distant from him immediately after that. and then they're chucked into the finale back at square one, and her not trusting him. That's great. Like, that's what should happen. But instead, he does those terrible things. He tortures the character, and she just doesn't react in the proper way. And it does obviously speak about a certain conflict, and I am absolutely opposed to the message it's making. And I understand if people have different thoughts on that, but that's where I stand on this story. Next, I'm going to talk about Wish World, and Wish World... Nope. It's like Legend of Ruby Sunny in that it's a trailer for next week, but it's a worse trailer because you are spent living in this world, and you know more than the actual characters, because you know this isn't the Doctor, you know this isn't Ruby, and you know why they're there. Like, you know in WandaVision, you know who these characters are, but you don't know why they're acting this certain way. You don't know who's in control of this world. Whereas in the reason this doesn't work is that you know they're in a fake world, you know why they're in a fake world, and you're just waiting for it to fall apart. And the fact that it wastes the entire episode to get there for the Doctor to realise he's the Doctor, and then it's like, watch next week. And I heard someone say that this should be a utopia. This should be the utopia, and there should be an episode after this, and then the finale. And yeah, 100%, 100% that should be the case. And yeah, it just, I don't like the performance of the Ronnies in this story. It annoys me so much. Anita Dobson, I really don't like her performance in the last few stories. When she just goes, weave, when they both go, weave by generated, it just makes me sigh. It's just like, why, what? I just don't like it. I really don't like it. Reality War, Joe, I might even make a new tier. Can we make a new tier? Can we? Okay, we can't make a new tier. But if I could make a new tier, which is, you know, I don't know, what should I name it? What should I name the tier? That one. That's what I'm going to name it. I'm going to name it that. But Reality War, I've spoken about it enough in that video. Here's the video. You can hear my thoughts. But yes, not happy. Not happy with that one. So, do you know what? If you actually look at Ncuti's era like this, you know, it looks quite good. It actually, there's 6 episodes where I'm negative. 6 episodes where I am negative, and there is, you know, 12 where I'm fairly positive about them. I think the thing about Ncuti's era looking back is the series arcs don't work, the character arcs don't work, the character development doesn't work. But if you just review the episodes as one-off, you view the episode and you take away the entire context of the series, the episodes work better. So if you just watch Boom, you want to have fun, just watch Boom, and then just watch the 12 Doctors. Sorry, my Apple Watch terrified me. I literally just crap myself. But I think like Boom on its own, like you're just watching random Doctor Who episodes, you watch something from 11.0, 10.0, then you watch Boom, it would work. 73 Yards, same. Rogue, same. They're good, solid Doctor Who episodes, but in the context of their series, it's a letdown because they're building up to something which is just not delivering. None of the arcs in this era deliver or are satisfying in any way. And that's my opinion on this era, but I think that's all I've got to say on this. You know, what do you have to think about this era? Comment below, you know, what your opinions are on here. Are there any episodes which I've ranked too low or too high? Just, you know, say whatever you want. Like the video if you have enjoyed it. Please subscribe so you can see all of my new videos in the future. And don't forget to ding the bell. You'll be notified whenever those videos do get uploaded. I have been the Bored Whovian. This has been my 15th Doctor era review, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. I'll see you around.